Hi everyone, my name is Meg, and today I'll be teaching you 3 beginner-friendly hand stitches that will be useful in nearly every project you take on. By the end of today's video, you'll know how to sew a straight stitch, a back stitch, and a ladder stitch. Let's get started. Here are the materials you'll need today. Fabric of your choosing, thread. Today, I'll be using an embroidery thread of a contrasting color just for instructional purposes, but normally I would recommend using cotton thread that most closely matches the color of your fabric. Scissors, and a needle. The first stitch I'll be showing you today is called the straight stitch. It's the most basic hand stitch and can be used in several different ways. The first thing that you'll need to do is tie a knot at the end of your thread. To begin your stitch, first, you'll need to insert the needle into the top of the fabric. You'll pull the thread through and then reinsert the needle on the other side of the fabric. Then reinsert your needle through the top of the fabric the same distance that you had in your first stitch. Go back through the other side of the fabric and pull your thread through. Continue this action until you have a straight stitch. All you need to do to finish your stitch is push your needle through the last stitch that you made to form a loop. Then push your needle through the loop and pull tightly to secure. Repeat this action to ensure that your stitches won't come undone. The next stitch I'll be showing you is the back stitch. This stitch is very similar to the straight stitch, but provides more strength as well as a nicer, more professional looking finish. Similar to a straight stitch, you'll begin by inserting your needle through one side of the fabric and bringing it through the other side. But instead of moving forward down a straight line, you'll bring your needle back to your first stitch and insert the needle through the same hole of your first stitch. Once you have your needle and thread all the way through this side of the fabric, you'll go forward past the 2 stitches you just made on the opposite side of the fabric. You'll continue this motion until you have one continuous looking stitch that mocks the look of one done by a sewing machine. To finish this stitch, you'll bring your needle to the back stitches that you've made before and reinsert your needle through the opposite way. On the opposite side of the fabric, push your needle through the closest stitch to form a loop. Bring your needle through the loop and pull tight to secure. Do this several times to ensure that your stitches will not come out. This next stitch requires a little more focus, but will leave your projects looking very professional and neat. This is called the ladder stitch, and is most commonly used to finish seams without being visible from the outside. Begin with the outside of your seam facing you. Use the seam allowance on the other side to hide the knot of your thread. Insert your needle and make a single straight stitch parallel to the edge of your fabric on one side of the seam and bring your needle straight across to the other side of the seam. Again, make another straight stitch parallel to the edge and bring your needle straight down to the other side of the seam. Continue, and the threads should be perpendicular to the seam, like the rungs of a ladder. After several stitches, pull your thread and the stitches should blend into the rest of the seam. To finish, pick up a small amount of fabric on the side of the seam opposite to where your last stitch was, to form a large loop. Pull your thread through the loop tightly and repeat to finish your seam so the stitches will not come out. And that's all there is to it. Like most things involving sewing and stitching, these can take time and practice to master, but anyone can do it. Learning to do these stitches the right way and practicing often will provide a great finish to your projects, as well as give you a great foundation for learning harder finishes and stitches in the future. Happy sewing!